I've tried out a free-to-play survival game called Undawn, and it made me realize something. We are so far removed from how free-to-play games used to release all of the time, and simultaneously, we are so close. See, back in roughly 2004 to 2012, there used to be plenty of free FPSs, MMOs, racers, puzzlers, and anything in between releasing just about literally every other week. Of course, not all of them were successful, most of them weren't actually successful, the majority of them though are lost to time, and we only really talk about a handful of them because they were able to adapt to modern times, say a RuneScape or a MapleStory. Now, in 2023, while in comparison there are more and more games coming out across every platform, PC and console have a comparatively low amount of free-to-play games releasing. This is not necessarily a bad thing because, to be honest, back in the day, unless you were a kid with too much free time, like I was, or you were...
Hi guys, this is Omer from MMOHut.com.
You wouldn't possibly be able to really play all of the games coming out. Somehow, I do miss those times though, because for every mediocre or bad game, there was a diamond in the rough. Maybe it wasn't the whole game, maybe it was just parts of it, but games brought interesting and cool features that weren't seen in AAA releases at the time. So why, after saying all of this, do I mention us being close to experiencing that time again? Well, in case you haven't realized, the rapidly developing free-to-play game scene never really disappeared. It just moved. It moved to the device you might be watching this video on. Oh, okay, that sentence is wrong if you are watching this on PC or console, but if you are watching this on mobile, there you go, that's the device I mean. Mobile games come out all of the time, some of them play it safe, some of them introduce new exciting features, and others combine genres that haven't been combined before. Sometimes I'll play some of the games, most of the time I end up getting frustrated with the controls, and then just continue side-eyeing the game instead, while still keeping track of them at an arm's length distance. We're now slowly getting to the point where more and more of these games that were only being developed for mobile are getting proper non-emulator specific PC releases. Obviously, this means usually that the graphics aren't as amazing, because they were optimized for mobile devices, but this doesn't always have to be the case, as you can see with games such as Genshin Impact, Honkai Starrail, Undecember, and more such games. Now, even if the graphics were low fidelity, I wouldn't really mind that. The biggest struggle that seems to be happening with PC ports of mobile games seems to be the interface. Usually they end up just wholly carrying over the mobile interface, meaning you get to see these gigantic buttons and sometimes even virtual sticks right on your screen. Even if it is an MMO-like type of game where regular hotbar, for example, would make a lot of sense, and a stick being on the screen makes no sense as you are just moving with W, A, S, and D. Let's bring it back to the game I mentioned at the beginning, Undawn. It's to me the type of game that gets just short of being the old-style free-to-play PC experience. It is a mobile game at its heart, which is perfectly fine, but there is a simple layer of improvements which would carry this from just being a way to continue your mobile game at home to a normal PC game. Mind you, this is not me saying we should make the mobile monetization that's in the game normal on PC. This is just me arguing about gameplay, UI, user experience, and such. From a base HUD perspective, Undawn isn't even the biggest offender. It does have the typical mobile look, but it manages to squeeze and squish that down to a size where it isn't the absolute worst. I do think the bottom right buttons are purposefully kept on screen to be a reminder of your key bindings, but having this shown in a small list format like other PC games do without the sizable icons behind them would still be better. Of course, the game does have the typical mobile menu as well, with way too many buttons in the top right, which tries to sell you something in 4 different ways at the same time. Luckily, this can be collapsed. I think the main meh part of the game's regular UI comes when you go into menus. Everything becomes these large fold-out menus that fold out into more fold-out menus that all feel like they have buttons that are way too large. Mainly this is because you are supposed to tap on them with your fingers, and while that doesn't translate the worst to a PC mouse, PC gamers are used to smaller buttons, and for shortcuts by proxy of hovering the mouse over something and then pressing a button on the keyboard, or by right-clicking, doing something other than the left click, and stuff like that. Everything here is made so that you first have to click on a large button, then go into a side menu and click on another large button, and then you have to confirm with another large button that you actually want to do things that you just clicked on. Whereas in a game such as The Division, a lot of info is dumped in a way thinner UI, and with different keys you can do different things at the same time while hovering over an item, and there you go. It's definitely not unrecoverable, but if they were to put in the effort of making a dedicated PC menu system, giving it the kind of treatment where these common functions would be possible, then the user experience would feel so much better, and it would also make it easier for them to make the game compatible with consoles. Of course, the user experience is more than just the menus. It's also definitely lacking in difficulty early on, which is done because in general, aiming with virtual sticks frickin' sucks. Of course, the servers and such being cross-platform means that it would be difficult for them to pull off something like different balancing between different devices, but having some kind of difficulty slider or a world tier system would solve this issue. It's not like all mobile players suck at aiming either. If you've ever seen people that are really serious about their mobile games, and I'm not just talking about esport people, I'm also talking about kids that grew up on mobile games, they can twist their hands into some majestic claws. They will operate that screen just as though it is a normal controller. For them, I'm pretty sure the base difficulty must also really be a disappointment. Something that also breaks the flow for this game in particular is that it constantly requires you to press Alt to switch between mouse and aim mode. This in and of itself isn't the biggest problem. There are plenty of games that require you to use your mouse and aim and being able to switch between the two. The way in which Undawn differs though is that it doesn't automatically switch over to what is logical at that moment. If you enter a store menu by pressing F, your mouse doesn't automatically appear. In fact, you're still controlling your character in the background. You are even still able to fire. So you need to manually press Alt to make your mouse appear, and now when you're done buying things and you're ready to go on your way, now you have the opposite problem, where it doesn't automatically switch over to aiming mode, which means now you have to press Alt again, and there you go. It's not like the game isn't able to do this, by the way. For example, if you press B to open up your inventory, it automatically pops up the mouse, and then when you close it, it hides the mouse. Great! For menus it works! No, it doesn't. For the inventory it does pop up, for your journal it doesn't, for crafting it does, and your character sheet as well, but then for the health status it doesn't. For matchmaking it does, but for the guild menu it doesn't. It makes no sense. It's not like some of these require your mouse inputs and others do not. They all require your mouse input. Everything is made for touch control. It's just horribly inconsistent. I want to say that if everything didn't do it, then it would be a lot easier to make your brain hit Alt whenever you open a menu, but because it's seemingly pretty random, it's really hard to get used to it. I'm sure that in the long run, it's fine, but having only put in a handful of hours at this point, these are issues that are really destroying my enjoyment and really are destroying the flow of this game. And they all seem like issues that should be relatively easy to resolve. And also, by the way, in case you're wondering, it's not like this is a small indie team without a budget. You know, it's not like they don't have the budget to make a functional PC UI. They got freaking Will Smith to lend his likeness to a character, and while he doesn't do voiceovers, he does appear in their marketing campaign, which was also uploaded to his YouTube channel. Yeah. Undawn is just really a game that I want to like. Even more, I think it is a game that I would like. The UI and UX just gets in the way of it really being experienced as a real, proper game. For now, it's just a mobile distraction. Even though I've just ranted about all this, I'll still continue playing the game for another handful of hours to see where things go. And who knows, maybe in a couple of weeks, they have listened to player feedback and have adjusted some of these things to make the PC version just a little bit more awesome. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.